Welcome back. You're listening to the 6th episode of the Impaired Files with the Nerd Chicano. And today we have a wonderful guest here with us. One that you may all know if you look at our art on our podcast feed. She is the one who completely revamped our podcast feed to make it look pretty, because I used to do the designs and they looked terrible. So I am glad to, what's the word I'm looking for? To invite, I am glad to invite Miss Alexandra Almeida to, oh great, my Alexa turned on. Yeah, like Alexandra, and then my Alexa turned on for some reason. That's great. But Alexandra Almeida is here. Say hello.
That was perfect. Hello. What is up?
Not much. I didn't think my Alexa would turn on for that, and now again it's turning on, and I'm not saying anything for it to turn on, but that was funny. My Echo was turning on.
It's perfect.
Yeah, only that happens with Alex. Only with Alex, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got the best name.
Alex, introduce yourselves to the people who don't know who you are.
Okay, I'm Alexandra Almeida. Mostly everybody calls me Alex. And I am a visual artist, a graphic designer. And I've done revamping for the Nordcorp. And yeah, and I just continue to do more logos every day as much as possible. Other stuff. And yeah.
We completely appreciate everything you've done to make this feed look a lot less like a 2-year-old drew him. So, thank you so much. She also hasn't said this, but she was also a host at one point for the Ladies of Nerdcorp, but had to step back because she has to work on all this design work. So, she always been remembered for her short tenure as a host on this feed. But you've also been on a couple of episodes. She's been on Daredevil Season 3 review, The Punisher Season 2 review. Believe you were on I think those are the only 2, right? Or you've been on, oh no, we talked about you were never really here.
Gamer Corps.
You've been on Gamer Core. Yeah. It's been a wonderful, and then of course Lady Nerd Core. So now you've done the transfer over to become one of the cool cats who are on the Impaired Files. And if you guys don't know, if you're listening to this for the first time, I do want to thank everybody for the massive support on the SRK Shane episode. Thank you so much for that, guys. It's been a wonderful time talking with Shane, and I'm guessing you guys really like that episode. I wanted to also give a shout out to all the Patreon supporters who are here from the $1 tier and up. Alex is actually one of them, and because of you all being wonderful people, you guys get this episode a week early before anybody else. So thank you so much for that. And you guys know that you guys keep this show afloat, and the show only happened because of so many Patreon supporters. We have great Patreon supporters. I also wanted to bring up the fact that the show is brought to you by Grayson Barker, aka Warlord Hitman 98 on Twitter, Grayson Barker 98 on Instagram. Thank you, Grayson, for being an executive producer. You can become one too by going to www.patreon.com/thenerdcore. At the $15 tier, you get executive producer status along with a pin and sticker as they're made, and a postcard that comes along with those pins and stickers. So sorry I had to get that over with, Alex, but yeah, you're a member of our Patreon. How awesome is our Patreon, by the way?
Oh, I love it, honestly, and the fact that I get to listen. Well, first of all, I get the mini pod.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think the general gets the mini pod. So
Nope.
those are pretty good. I like those. Hearing you and Brad chop it up, and then getting the episodes early. So that's always tight, and I'm always listening to it when I'm working and stuff.
Yeah. So Alex did the revamp for us here. She did hosting at one point. She's also would like to say now. I would like to say this now because now it's official. It's actually happening. I'm working on a short film for my road reel. It's actually going to happen now, and Alex is going to be doing a film poster for my project, and she is getting compensated for that because she refuses to be compensated for the revamp of the podcast feed. But I will make sure to compensate her for the film poster, because that will be shown all over. And when I send that film off to film festivals, I have to attach that poster. So yeah,
Nice. Oh, I'm so excited.
yeah, it should be a fun time. I Have you been doing any research for that?
No, well, actually, yeah, when you told me about it, I've actually always kind of dove into like design, like
Mm-hmm.
looking it up and just using it kind of for like inspiration for other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talked about it the other day, I was like, oh my God, yes. So like I kind of dove back into those folders that I
Mm-hmm.
saved and I was like, oh, this is gonna be so much fun because I
Yeah.
nerd out over that shit, like
Yeah.
hardcore.
Oh, I'm a lover of film posters. Do you know the account SG Posters on Twitter?
Oh, on Twitter, no.
Dude, they make some of the best mock-up posters, like mock posters. They've done really, really cool stuff on a lot of films. I know they did one of Interstellar, and it's amazing. Like the art that they make is really, really cool. Other artists like Boss Logic that have made a lot of fan art, but SG Posters does mostly film posters, and they did some parodies of some remocking of A Clockwork Orange, and that was amazing as well. So I really recommend you go look at that. But yeah, Alex is wonderful, and I guess the first question I got to ask is the icebreaker. Uh, you're an artist, you're a movie fan, you're a video game fan, but I mean your forte is the art. Is there a certain artist that is your favorite, or like anyone that kind of sticks to that influence for you that your whole work is based off of?
No. There's no specific person behind
Yeah. Hey, you can give me people.
uh uh let's see. I'm trying to think. As far as art goes,
Mhm.
abstract side of it, I just love all abstract like expressionism. So
Mhm.
like the Jackson Pollocks, the
Mhm.
William D. Kooning, the all these other like
Mhm.
you look at it and you're like, dude, this looks like somebody just like drew a shape and that's it. Like that
Yeah.
stuff like I like as far as paintings and stuff.
Mhm.
When it comes to design and logos and stuff, the skateboard culture heavily influenced me growing up. Like when
Oh
I
yeah.
saw my like a skateboard deck, I was like, I want to design skateboard decks. And then the t-shirts and then came with everything else. And so that was like the big thing that made me like
Yeah.
originally I wanted to be a director.
Oh really? You really want to be a
Yeah.
director? Why'd you stop?
Yeah, I remember growing up with design and drawing because I always kind of drew when I was a kid. Like I just
Mhm.
color and draw on paper and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I would watch movies because my dad's kind of like a film buff.
Mhm.
So he would like show me all these like different films and stuff. And I remember the first movie
Nice.
I saw, you know, and then I got the backstory on it. Like,
Mhm.
oh, he, out of USC, I think, right? He was out of USC Film School.
You got cut off a little bit. What was the first film you saw?
Halloween,
Halloween.
the
I
original.
believe Carpenter. Yes, I believe Carpenter was out of USC.
And so I heard like he did it like super low budget and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, dude, I want to make films like this. So I wanted to be a horror filmmaker and I wanted to make scary films.
So why the shift from wanting to be a director to going to becoming a digital artist?
Um, I guess art class when I was able to have to do something that was like tangible and it was in my hands. So I was able to make uh like we did this one guy that I knew in high school, we did he was a skateboarder and I didn't really skate. I didn't skate at all. Like I sucked at it. I was terrible.
Yeah.
But I just kind of loved the whole like culture around it.
Hmm.
Bring in like old beat up decks and he would sand them down and then like prep them and prime them and then we just paint on it and like draw like stupid cartoon shit on it and stuff. And I
Yeah.
kind of like fell in love with it in that sense. Like I have a product in my hands, create like with my hands. So that kind of like sparked it for me.
So I what I'm getting from you is that instead of having to do the whole teamwork and to make one project that you have the big vision over, you wanted the thing where where you have it right in front of your eyes and you're able to do it yourself without having to need an editor or a producer or an actor and all that stuff.
Kind of, yeah, because I saw it as like um like uh, not that I'm not a team player. I mean, I could be a team player, but
Mm-hmm.
like very driven of like, dude, I just want to do it and like knock it out. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like do it, knock it out and move on,
Yeah, you don't want to wait
you
for
know?
you don't want to wait for the budget to sit in. You don't want to have to wait for the writer to finish writing the
Uh,
film. You don't want to wait for what's it called,
yeah, and I didn't want to
scheduling.
wait for the okays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. I get it. That's also a lot of the reason why I love Phil so much is that to me, I don't want to get it over with that second. I kind of want to take my time, perfect it, make sure that every script is written correctly. But I really respect what your drive is for art. In a way, I love that. I love that reasoning. Uh, I've told you the first couple of months that you followed me, I always said I was like, oh, I'm looking at your pictures on Instagram. Have you ever thought about becoming like a cinematographer? Because if you would have become a director, I think you would have shifted from director to cinematographer because you are really, really good with that camera.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally see that too. Like, I still do. Like, I still love films, and I think that's why,
Hmm.
I was able to like come on the show and talk about like TV shows and stuff like that because I love it and I love cinematography.
Yeah, me too.
And
I,
so
I
that definitely,
go ahead,
what's that?
go ahead and continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Um, and so like it definitely shines through. And I always like kind of come up with like little mini concepts when I do like a stupid like random photo shoot of myself because
Yeah.
nobody wants to be my model. So I'll just use myself, random
Hmm.
little like characters or like little something
Yeah.
to just to give it something that's just not a selfie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you really have an eye for that, and I've always noticed it with the pictures you put on Instagram, and I mean your art in general. Like I said, what's it called? The first time I really looked at your art, and I messaged you and I said, "Is this abstract? Is this what you're doing?" And I was like, "Because I'm definitely getting that vibe." And you're like, "Oh yeah, 100%. It's all abstract." But I completely agree with what I said that that you would be an amazing cinematographer. I got into cinematography as well. When I directed my first short, I had to shoot it and I was like, oh god, I love this. And I've always been a fan of like cinematography, but actually having the camera in my hand is when I really fell in love with it. And I said, you know what, I kind of would like to shoot the movies I direct in a way. So, and then I kind of fell in love with writing and fell in love with a lot of other areas except for producing and editing. But yeah, that's enough of me. I want to get more of you. Uh, what's it called? So I'm guessing that making this film poster is kind of a dream come true right now.
It's kind of like a full circle almost.
Yeah.
Like me into the creative business and like
Mhm.
creative, which was film, and then now that kind of evolved.
Yeah.
Now I get to design for a film.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, for some people, are gonna realize what's called asking, like, how did you meet Alex? I met Alex like most people I meet on the internet. I met her on Twitter because I believe Optic Hutch was having a good old famous argument with some alt right troll. And
Yeah.
I think I replied to that, like, something about, like, homophobia is stupid and, you guys really just gotta learn how to just become open minded or something. And Alex was like, I agree or something. I don't know. It was something along those lines. And, ever since that day, I followed her. She followed me and then started seeing all the stuff I was doing. I was seeing her amazing art. Started talking, and we've what's it called? I found out that she was really into Daredevil, and I was like, "Hey, would you like to be on the episode for our Daredevil season 3 review that we did with Thaddeus?" And also, we did a Chilling Adventures of Sabrina season 1 review. And she was like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." And I'm like, I don't watch that show." I'm like, "It's okay. We can just drop out after you're done with Daredevil, and Brian and I will take over the wheel for Sabrina." And ever since that day is when things got a little bit more, what's it called, interesting, because she was, what's it called? Oh, I'm playing around with the with your brand. I made these three designs. She made the current design that we have at the moment on the podcast feed, and she made one where it was red, black, and white, which is now basically the design of the Patreon core feed, the Patreon core feed, which is the what's it called, the RSS feed for all the Patreon supporters. That's where you get all your cool stuff. So whenever Alex opens up her app that she has her Patreon linked to the RSS feed, she gets to see that beautiful design. And then she gave us one where it was gray, green, and black, I believe. And
So yeah.
yeah, that one is actually the intro, is used for the intro vid that Ayden Byrnes made for us, the second guest on the Impaired Files. He made us an intro vid for our YouTube channel, since our first intro vid that he did for us was actually had the old logo on it, and it wasn't the old logo. We're talking about the first logo, the one with the actual Green Lantern symbol that would have had us get a good old lawsuit on our hands if we kept using that. So then
Yeah.
Alex Alex then makes the logo for the ladies because she was gonna be on that. She was on that show. Then she goes on to make more and more until I realized that, you know, this girl just completely revamped our good old podcast feeder. But she's also made the the cover photo for the Facebook group. She's also made a really sweet Twitter banner that I think we still have it up there, but Brad likes to change it every now and then to like something from like a video game or from a movie. But if I'm pretty sure that we still have that photo, which is cool because it reminds me of the intro that plays with all the Netflix movies. You know, where it's like,
yeah, the comes in and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still up there. Yeah, it's still on there on Twitter. So she's done like a complete revamp of our look, and I'm glad, because we could not stick with what we had because that was terrible. It looked terrible. So she's done all the art for that, and I really do appreciate her. But that's how we met, and that's how we've known each other as of late. Now she's working on that film poster for me. But I want to kind of go back. But well, first of all, I'll go back. But I wanted to ask, why us? Why would you want to revamp us? Out of all the other great podcasts that are out there, that you could have just snuck into the DMs and you would say, hey, I'll do this for free. Don't worry about, paying me. But I just want to kind of just revamp your work because I like what you're doing here. Why us?
It was easy because I listened to the podcast. So I was familiar with you, with Brad. Even with the other channels that you had at the time with the Weebs. I don't necessarily watch anime, but I don't know. I just, something about hearing people talk about shit that they love is like super like dope and inspiring to me. Like, well, I know these guys. Like, I know Raul, so you know, I'll just be like, designs. If you like them, cool. You can use them. Feel free. And if not, that's cool too. Like, so it was just kind of like, I don't know, it was like a no-brainer. Like, I didn't really have to think about it. Like, I just kind of did it. Which is, unfortunately, sometimes my business model, which is not the best sometimes.
Yeah. But hey, I look, you know, I want to compensate you for what you do. You don't let me. But also some people got to understand, sometimes you're going to have to work for free. Because, you know, that's really how it's going to have to work sometimes to get your voice out there and get yourself out there. Yep. You know, I understand a lot of, art should be compensated. You should pay your artists. Sadly, what's it called? Straight out of school, you're going to make your first design with a company. You might just have to take a little bit of a pay cut or even do it for free because you don't have anything else to your name.
Yeah, and I didn't go to school for design. So I had to really, like, slide into the DMs often with, hey, do you need a design, or do you need this, or a cover photo for whatever? Because at the time I started design, social media and stuff really started popping off. Like, it really started to take off. People were actually starting to use it to monetize things now. So I'll like, okay, well, there's this little door open, so might as well take a peek and see what comes of it.
See what I can do with it. Yeah, it's really interesting because you didn't go to school. By the way, I searched up that John Carpenter thing. He went to Western Kentucky University and then he went to USC, but he dropped out.
Oh, so he was a dropout. Even more interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, I was what's it called? After what you were saying, I'm sorry. It's really interesting what you're talking about. you were really there for when this thing started to pop off. I was too, but you were probably a lot older than me when this thing started to pop off, because I think I was like, what, 14, 13 when this stuff really started to pop off. The whole social media thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were probably, what, like 20 years old? 20 years old, yeah. 2018.
Early 20s, around there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're an old fart like Brad, but not as old as Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like a year or two behind Brad.
Yeah, I think you're on the same age with Ashley.
She's a year younger, I think.
Really? I thought. Wait. Oh, I'm so
Uh,
sorry. Ashley just turned 29. You're gonna turn 30 soon.
just turned 30. Yeah, a couple months ago.
Yeah, and you look super young.
No, I'm trying to hold on to that as long as possible.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. It's that
I
lamb
got the
power.
good genes.
It's that lamb power, girl. It's how we are.
It is.
Yeah, we look super young.
It
People don't
really
believe
is.
me when I say I'm 22. Think I'm like 12 or 15.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
used to be annoying when you get carded at places, but now it's just like,
It's really flattering.
yeah.
Yeah. Even though my style is more like a 40-year-old man, a father, but yeah, it's funny. It's funny for sure. Yeah, so I really do. I appreciate that of you. Your work ethic is incredible. I mean, because you know you're pursuing a field it's a lot of competition.
There's no
And
rules.
yeah, and just like the field that I'm chasing, it's a lot of grind. It's a lot of grind.
Yep.
You know, and it's incredible to see that your work ethic is there. But you know, other than Gary V, who really influenced that work ethic.
Let's see.
Because I know Gary's a big
Gary
part of
V.
it.
Oh, Gary stuff. And you know what? I can't even remember the first like Gary episode I watched like a long ass time ago. But I started watching within the last year or so, or maybe even a little bit earlier. It's called The Future,
Hmm.
design specific YouTube channel.
Yeah,
And Chris Do is actually the guy who started it. And
yeah,
he's very blunt and he's very like honest, which is kind of like Gary, like
yeah.
the bush or like sugarcoat anything for you.
Hmm.
So I kind of like that, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, dude, that's pretty harsh. But most people need to hear that, just to get, fire under your ass sometimes.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's somebody that I look up to because his design work is insane as well.
hmm yeah. A lot. I mean, people really like. Sometimes you can't sugarcoat it anymore. You kind of got to tell them, like, get off your ass and actually do something, because you're gonna run out of time. You're gonna run out of time because I'm sorry, guys, if you guys don't want to hear it, but you're gonna die one day. And what you
Yeah.
do between this time and now, and this time and until the day you're dead, that's really on your hands. And if you want to live a, what's it called, what's perceived as the normal life, the what's it called, to go to work 9 to 5, come home, take care of the kids, go to sleep, pay bills, wake up, repeat.
Yeah.
That's on you. If you want to do that, that's what you like, and sure. But there's some people that kind of want to break out of that mold and not have to be chained to what is perceived as the normal stereotype of what what a normal life in this country is.
Yeah. And it's hard too because you're just gonna get so many people telling you like,
Yeah.
oh, you need to get like a real job, or
Yeah.
you're wasting your time. It's just a hobby and all this other stuff. So you just kind of have to.
Hmm. I'm sorry, you cut off. Sorry, you cut off.
What did I?
What
Oh,
did you say at the end?
I just said like you have to just power through it, all the negative talk about it,
Like, yeah, you.
telling you to,
Mhm. You have to basically take that 1 in a millionth chance. There's like it's 1 in 1,000, 1 million of a chance that you're actually gonna make it. There's actually gonna be like a big move, and you have to realize like I'm willing to take that 1 in a million. I'm willing to eat shit per se, like Gary says, for
Yep.
40 years, 30, 20 to 30, 30, 40 years. Doesn't matter how long it takes for it to happen. And that's what I really appreciate about you, because you put in a lot of work. Like, we're not talking about like a once every month you have a design up. It's like every 2 to 3 weeks, you have something new up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and over the years, I've kind of learned to not necessarily spend all day doing something, but really power through like 4 or a couple hours and just knock
mm-hmm.
out as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like edit my own shit
Yeah,
and throw out what was bad.
mm-hmm. Yeah, you hustle. You like me. I record every night. It's it's awesome. It's awesome what you do, and there's a lot of reasons why a lot of that is linked to Gary's advice he's always giving, and it really shows when I'm talking to you and you're like, oh yeah, I designed all these things at 2 a.m. It's like, what? Are you crazy?
I know. And my mind works so weird too. Like I'll jump up and be like, "Oh shit,
Mm,
that could make a sick design or that'll make a cool poster or that'll make a cool freaking
yeah.
pillow or something." I don't know. Like just
Mhm.
random shit. So I have to remember to write down a lot of the stuff.
Yeah. Well, you'll be back. We'll be back after you listen to this word from our sponsors. So we're gonna take a little break here, but when you come back, you'll keep listening to the interview with Alexandra Almeida. It's Alexandra. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The way I say it is always Alejandra, but I'm just gonna do it the same way as always. Once again, the Alexa popped up. So listen to this ad.
Oh no.
Listen to this ad. Take it away, Ashley. All right, you're back. Thank you for coming back and listening too. I hope you enjoyed that ad from Ashley because she's wonderful and she does a great job with making that ad. But you're back. You're listening to the Impaired Files with the Nerd Chicano here. We're talking with Alejandra Almeida, and I was gonna ask next follow up. I wanted to talk. What's it? Not really growing up. What was the reaction from those around you, like family, friends, when you said, "Hey, I think I'm gonna stick to design. I'm gonna keep doing this for as much as I can write it out."
Um, well, I guess I have a really supportive family. Like my parents
Mm-hmm.
with me over the years, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know. It's kind of weird because I feel like it's like financial questions a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but without being like nosy. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I know sometimes some people want to ask like, well, do you even make any money? Or like, how much do you make? Or
Yeah.
just those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but for the most part, they're all cool with it. And
Yeah.
over the years, I've kind of had people that are like expecting shit from you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh, kind of learned to just nah, like I'm kind of a person where I have no problem cutting out I feel like aren't going to be good for me in the
Mm-hmm.
long run, like as far as emotionally support.
Mm-hmm.
I've done pretty well with that over the years. So those people are gone. They're out of here.
Yeah. I respect that. It's people need to realize that that's not as easy as it sounds because especially when you've created such a bond with those people for it to just be cut off because of stuff like that. But I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
you have a supportive support system because not a lot of people have it in the arts. Uh, what's it, also a lot of people just learn to understand the field that their child per se is going to be pursuing because a lot of people just don't understand what that is, how it works. But once they're explained and they're educated on what you're pursuing, then things start to get a lot easier for them.
I,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing that I think that's been so helpful with my relationships with my family and stuff is that I am pretty shit like that. Like I'll tell them like, this is happening right now. I'm doing on this project. I'm working on this project and
Yeah.
this is what I'm working on, blah, blah, blah. Kind of leave me alone.
That's funny. That's funny. My parents are really interested in what I do with the films and stuff. Ever since I explained to them
Good,
really what
though.
I'm doing, they were like, "Oh, so you're doing the casting now?" And like this and that and that. Like, oh, like okay, yeah, like it's pretty cool. But what's it called? You were talking about the people who expect stuff. How do you deal with that?
I kind of just, I have to kind of like laugh to myself about it. I'm just like, are you serious? I think you showed a tweet the other day of a girl who had a conversation with their friends, and they
Mm-hmm.
were expecting, or she asked them like, "Hey, I'm selling, I think, I don't know, it was like prints or a painting or something.
Yeah.
If anybody would like to purchase any stuff,
Mm-hmm.
why would I pay when I can get it for free from you and stuff?" And
Mm-hmm.
that just blows my mind because I've heard that before, and so I'm just like, oh God, I could feel like what she felt in that moment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, like you really don't like care about what I do. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like the feeling I get too when those people say things like that, is like they look at you as if, or that it's a joke in a way.
Yeah.
Like, psh, you're not gonna make money off of that. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. By the way, before anybody even comes in and says, Raul, isn't that what you're doing with her? Like, hey, I've
No.
asked multiple times, can I compensate you monetarily? And she's like, nope, nope, I'm not going to let you. Okay? It's until
Like,
recently she budged with this one. And I was like, okay, because I want this one to be paid because, what's it called? It's going to be shown everywhere where I promote the movie.
okay. And I came to you. You didn't come to me necessarily. So I came to
True.
you, presenting you with designs,
Yeah. Yeah.
saying, "Hey, I made these. Thinking about you guys, I made these. If you guys
Yeah.
like them, feel free," and all
Yeah.
that other stuff. And
Yeah.
even when
Yeah.
somebody comes to you and is like, "Yo, give me a print," and I'm just like,
Fuck off.
yeah, you got money or something? Like,
You
what's
got
up?
money with that? You got money with that? Yeah. It's very different how you approach. Like when I approached her about the film poster, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna put out this film, and I really want a film poster being done for this one. How much would you take $50 as a payment?" She said, "Sure. You guys can't just come up and say like, hey, design me something, and expect
Yeah,
that to go as well as you think it's gonna go."
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sadly, that's the thing that a lot of creatives do, like I would really, really like to know how many of the people on Instagram that have these nice looking photos with photo credits to a certain photographer, how many of them actually paid them?
Probably not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not a lot. And the sad thing is, even companies don't.
Mm-hmm. Because they think that paying
Companies
with
will use the
promotion.
line.
Mm-hmm.
They see it as you need them, they don't need you. But the thing is that what creatives on all mediums need to realize is, if a company's coming to you, then you have a specific skill set that they like and that
Mm-hmm.
they feel that they need in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the ball's kind of in your court, really.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to negotiate that stuff.
Yeah. Sadly, companies go after the ones that are like the first timers because they're not used to this stuff. So they're kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, like so and so just came up to me. They have like 1 million followers on Instagram. And they're like, hey, can you do this for us? It's going to be shown to all our 1 million followers on Instagram. So, hey, we're not going to
Mm.
pay you. And in your mind, you're like, oh, man, I would really like to get paid. But like somehow this might work for me in the end. And then it builds a reputation as to where people are going to be able to like abuse of you. But it's not.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be it shouldn't be taboo to ask for some sort of reimbursement per se. Like a compensation. Like, hey, like I'm gonna,
Right.
like even simple as like, I know that I'm gonna be shown to like so many followers. Like, can I at least get $10 at least? Like $10 to $20
Yeah.
maybe. But it's a very constant thing that happens in the medium a lot, and I've seen it, and I know it happens because a lot of people just go in and they're like, hey, can I have this? He goes, oh, cool, it's gonna be 100 because it's gonna take this much time, and I have to buy these things and I have to do that, and they're like, oh no, I thought you would do it for free.
Yeah.
I can do the same thing if I had all the software that you have. Dude, if you're messaging that, chances are that you don't have the software, and that's why you want somebody else to do it for you.
Right. That always gets me laughing when I hear somebody like say comment or message, and they'll say, well, what's so special about it? I can do that, or my 12-year-old brother can do that, and
And
it's
why
just
are
like,
you asking
okay,
me?
cool, then
Nope.
have them do it.
Why are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it happens. It really does happen. It's a sad reality that creatives have to go through, and it's always gonna happen. I feel like it's always gonna happen because there's just people who are always gonna be like that. As much as we want to preach like pay your artists, man, I'll fucking tip my barber. I can't cut my own hair. You know, tip your barber, man. You know, it,
Yeah,
you know.
totally. And there's always going to be those people that don't see art as necessary buy. Like
Hmm.
it's not necessary to buy art.
It's necessary.
It's not something that they need like food,
Hmm. I mean, you look
so
back
they'll
at the
see it as that.
you look back at those famous paintings, you know, Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt, all those amazing artists, you know, and I'll do that for you. But when I'm talking about, as in cinema, you look at all the greatest directors of all time, so like Kubrick, Alfred Hitchcock, Akira
Mhm.
Kurosawa, all those amazing. Like art has a place in society, and to think and to think that you shouldn't pay for that very cultural impacting aspect of life, it's like it's kind of ridiculous.
Right. Um, art is kind of a lot of things that stirs up the conversation in a lot of
Hmm.
life. Art is the thing that sheds the light on maybe uncomfortable topics, that
Yeah,
people don't want to discuss every day or something like that.
yeah,
And they see a film that talks about something. So all
yeah,
of a sudden now you and your group of friends are now talking about this that
yeah. One director that we
even
really
mentioned.
love. One director that we really love has his movies are notoriously hated because they
Yeah.
talk on subjects like that, or they're not made in the most conventional way, aka Gaspar Noé. You know, what's it
Yeah.
called? People notoriously hate Irreversible. I think Irreversible is a masterpiece. What's it called? And
Yeah.
Enter the Void. Love. A
The
lot of people.
Void, yeah.
Yeah, people think love is straight up pornography. I think it's a lot more crafted than pornography. It's crazy, but at the end of the day, it's making you have a conversation. How would you be
Yeah.
having this conversation of the place of sexuality in movies if you wouldn't have watched this movie? You know?
And that's why I love Gaspar. He's so, I don't know, it's like very like raw emotion. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's very good at portraying in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think everybody in society as a general tries so hard to say their best selves all the time.
Yeah.
And we know that can't be achieved all the time.
Yeah. Gaspar is really a risk taker, because Irreversible
Yeah.
is it's first of all, it is a film that starts from the end to the start of the movie. It's displayed in that way from where you see the final shot and it takes you all the way back to what happened in the beginning. But those first shots in the beginning, they're filmed in a very, dizzy, very chaotic way to show, this event that just happened is very chaotic and it's turning the world and these characters in the way they feel. That's a very unconventional way because a lot of people, they want to see a movie that doesn't take that much risk, per se, like a superhero movie or a regular just, a movie that may have really nice cinematography in the way that it's shown, like what's it called, with the actual shot and the stuff that's in the shot. But not a lot of people move the camera like how you see in Irreversible. It's very, 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 very,
Yeah.
very different in that case. And also the idea of showing the end of the movie first, especially you start that movie
Yeah.
with the credits, actually the end credits of it, and it goes
Right.
into the last shot that you see is actually the beginning of the film. I think that is so interesting. And it's kind of like what you do is very unconventional. A lot of people don't do abstract nowadays. you know it's
Yeah.
not a famous thing anymore. But you're kind of like a lover of the
Yeah.
unconventional, just like I am. I'm a huge fan of the unconventional, the stuff that makes you sweat, the stuff that makes you want to think of, like, those things that people would say, oh, it's too dark or too grim. Like, I love that. Like,
And
I want you to think about why sexuality is perceived so ugly in movies, or I want you to think about why we're so scared to talk about death, or why we're so scared to talk about trauma. Like, that stuff is what interests me so much, and I feel like abstract has a way of showing that, and it shows in your art.
in a lot of ways it's but it is like there's a meaning behind it. You're trying to tell a story,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like you said the conventional way that others or the majority might tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's very abstract and
Mm-hmm.
different ways. It's not necessarily like what you said is starting the scene with the end.
Yeah.
Like who the hell like you wouldn't think that, but
Mm-hmm.
something that you'll remember. Like even if you watch the movie and you don't like the movie as a whole, you're gonna remember for the opening scene. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
remember that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. What's it called? I had a nice thought that I wanted to interject with that. Because it's just the way we're kind of used to viewing things. We don't think that it should be this way, and I was gonna say, oh, because a lot of people they're like, why does he do that? Like, why doesn't he just make another normal movie? And you realize, like, dude, this is the guy who wants to make his own movie. He somehow made a great pitch to make the company say, you know what? I kind of want to finance this. So fan opinion should not dictate the way he makes his movies. I'm sorry, like, I feel like that's a very common thing nowadays, where like fans should have a voice in how something is portrayed. Like, I don't like that. I just as much as I don't like studios having a word in how something is made, I don't like fans having a way in how something is made. And I know it's coming from the guy who literally runs a podcast where we talk about why we think the movie didn't work. But that's very different. That's criticism. But where criticisms become
Yeah.
entitlement into creating what was created, like, let directors be directors, let artists be artists, let writers be writers. Like, if you don't like it, cool. You have that right to your criticism. But to go out of your way to say, no, you should never work again because you don't know how to make a movie, or you should not work again because your cinematography was all over the place and I didn't understand why you made it like that. Like, that's kind of a little
Right.
bit harsh.
Yeah. And it's always the people who did anything or put something of theirs out there like that, who come with the harshest of those
Yeah,
critiques
yeah,
because they don't necessarily know what it's like to be on the other side of that.
yeah. Have you ever gotten some of those where they're like, dude, like, Alex, you should, like, somebody came
Oh,
up to you like, Alex, like, your paintings are like, what's it called? Your art is so hard to understand. Why don't you just make something simple for once?
yeah, I've had people like when I would do like commission paintings or something,
Mm-hmm.
people would be like, "Oh, I like your stuff, but can you like paint this like vase of or some shit like that?" And I'm like, "Dog, like I don't do realistic
Mm-hmm.
photos, like abstract. So what you see right now that you say that you love, that's what you're gonna get. Now, obviously I fine tune it. What colors do you like? Da da da, like this,
Mm-hmm.
that, and then I'll put it in, but trying to change my style that I came up with or
Mm-hmm.
just love to embrace, people will try and say like, "Oh, can you do a painting of my dog or something like that?" And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't do I don't do those
Shit.
realistic portraits.
Yeah, yeah. What's it called? It's like, at one point, like, yes, the person who is paying you should have some of a say into what comes out at
Right.
the end, like, as in, like, colors and stuff like that. But if you're coming to me and you're saying you enjoy what I do, that means my style kind of clicks something in there for you to want to pay me to do something with my style. So, like, it's not, it's, like, if somebody were to say, like, Raul, like, why are you grading the film like this? Like, why can't you just make it lighter in tone? Like, dude, did you see the script? Like, this is not a happy movie. This is not. It's not. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, but, like, I I know it's a constant joke with Brad. Like, I don't like happy things most of the time. I don't enjoy that, I guess. But then again, we did a whole month where I talked about the comedies that I actually enjoy. But a lot of people just expect you to kind of like turn your style for them, because somehow putting money in front of your face is like enough for them to dictate your art. Like, you're not gonna make something that you're not proud of.
Yeah, and not to mention I wouldn't say yes to it not just because it's not my style, but I'm not good at that type of style. So I would never well, I'll just BS my way through this and
Mm-hmm.
even if it looks like shit, whatever.
Yeah.
I've actually like sometimes in those cases I've redirected that person to another artist that I thought
Yeah.
fit their
Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
that doesn't get enough uh that doesn't happen as much as I like to see other artists embracing other artists and
Yeah.
helping each other out instead of
Yeah.
just anybody, screw you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I love Ayden so much. We're always both supporting each other so much. Yeah, you know, he doesn't direct, but he does do cinematography, and I'm always talking about like we always look showing each other stills and stuff. And it's great, but you know, that's having that support system is a lot. Has to do a lot with it. But I'm gonna go ahead and go into the last final part here. I feel like we've covered a lot. You know, the last final part is always the future. Is there what does the future have in store for you, Alejandro? I know it's the film poster I just commissioned, but anything else?
um, you know, back into my painting. I've taken a while off of that. Um, but I also want to get into product design because I feel like I haven't
Mm-hmm.
much into that as I would like. And that was kind of what got me hooked on design was
Mm-hmm.
designing skateboard decks and stuff like that. So I would like to move that into
Mm-hmm.
products maybe.
Yeah.
So
Well.
yeah, we'll see.
Well, you can buy her design of this movie had a fucking script on our Teespring account, so you can go and look that. You can find our Teespring store on there, and you can buy that design. You know, support her, show her that you really like her design because that was really cool. Yeah, it's a great line too. So go and show some support for that. But I want to thank you so much for being on here. You want to tell the people where they can find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And you can catch me on Instagram and Twitter, Alex Elm, ALM underscore design on Twitter, and then just Alex Elm design, all one word on Instagram.
Yeah. All right. I cannot give you guys a glimpse of who is coming in next week because I still don't have them booked. But I am trying hard to get certain someone from the internet realm on, and we will see if that will go through. But if it does not happen, then we will have somebody on here. Do not worry about that. But thank you so much for the people who support this show, support the feed, and support our wonderful Alex. She's the our official artist here. She's great. We love her so much, and I want to thank her so much for spending some time with me because it was really fun time getting to talk with her. I feel like this episode didn't even cover that much. We can always just sit down and talk about a lot of other things like movies and stuff. But this is mostly an interview show where I learn about what you do. But I know that you're always going to be on other episodes, and we'll always talk about other things. So, by the way,
Oh, yeah.
you can help us do something that she has a hand in helping. If you go over to the Patreon, we have a post up with the actual revamped look of the Nerdcore live show. I know you guys have missed that show so much. And she's doing so much to help us there. And if you want to get us there, all you got to do is pledge to a tier on our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/nerdcore. We need 7 more people to help us out and get us there to 50 Patreon supporters. So, if you want to see that revamped look from Alex, then go ahead and do it. Because it's right now it's starting off with the nice logo for the audio version. But once we actually get closer to those 15, Alex will start making, the layout for when we have to stream on YouTube. Because, people don't remember, that show, we was streamed on YouTube. Twitch, actually, I'm sorry. YouTube moved to Twitch because YouTube was being really complicated. But it was streamed to YouTube, to Twitch, and then it would go up on YouTube. So, you're going to start seeing a lot more of that design from Alex. But, we got to get ourselves to 15 because we really do want to revamp that show. Because if you like nonsense, that's going to be the show for nonsense. All right.
Should be good.
All right, Alex. I want to thank you so much for being on here. As always, you can follow the Nerdcore at the Nerdcore _, Instagram at the Nerdcore, Facebook page the Nerdcore Pods. Join the Facebook group, the Nerdcore Facebook group at www.facebook.com/nerdcore/group/the Nerdcore. So I hope you all have a wonderful time. Thank you for listening to the Impaired Files. As always,